Okay, I think we're live. Let me test the sound and see how that's coming through. And it should be popping up any second. I had to click the page. Got a few things that I want to cover for you, but we're going to start off with a little laugh. At least it's coming through. And it should be popping. There we go. Sounds good. I hate having the mic way close into my face. So I am, let's see. I don't want that to pop up. These people keep messaging me, and this is a great video that I want to show you. So I just need to get my screen organized. There we go. Now I can see that, and when I want to show my screen, I've got that. Okay, so I'll just give a few more seconds here, and I just got a whole bunch of royalty-free music, so I'll be able to start using that for the first few minutes while people roll in. I just need to make some type of page or something, or some type of banner saying coming in soon. So, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. And I want that one. There we go. And I want to click present to everyone just in case someone pops in, because that has happened before. All right, so CNN ends up getting an expert to check out the AR-15, the scariest gun on the planet, right? Okay, so I've already watched this, and just thinking about the beginning of this just cracks me up. So, and you can tell how this is actually being presented bad. Guns are bad, okay, type of thing. But it's just the way that this guy, Gary Tuckman, which is a wonderful last name for him, especially think Tuckman and then watch him shoot this gun. So let's go ahead and get this started.
This is what an AR-15 sounds like. General Mark Hertling served in the U.S. Army for 37 years, so he knows what the AR-15, which used to be a weapon of war, can do. And he has strong feelings about the semi-automatic assault-style rifle, which is the
I have to start this over. I hit the wrong thing. But it used to be in the Army. It was so dangerous they had to take it out. That's actually the gist of it that I'm getting, which is just killing me. So I wish I could. Can I make this full screen? There we go. All right. This will be better, because then I can hit the play and pause button. All right, here we go. We're starting it over.
Is what an AR-15 sounds like.
Do you see? Oh, the look on his face is priceless. And look at how much he can barely handle it. He's got to be doing this so on purpose. This can't be his real reaction to it. It's like someone said, no. You got to act more wussy with it. It's too. He probably shot it and he's like, hey, that wasn't so bad. No, can't say that. All right, here we go.
This is what an AR-15 sounds like. General Mark Hertling served in the U.S. Army for 37 years, so he knows what the AR-15.
Look at where his finger still is when he's done shooting. Look at this. This guy's a total idiot.
Hertling served in the U.S. Army.
Look at that. His finger should be out and pointed straight. He's done shooting. How would you like to be that cameraman that's sitting there? Although they probably just put a camera out there just in case. I would not be sitting in front of this guy. Look, he doesn't take his. He doesn't.
Served in the U.S. Army for 37 years, so he knows what the AR-15, which used to be a weapon of war, can do.
It used to be, but it was so dangerous as a weapon of war that they had to get rid of it. No, what's dangerous is you keeping your finger on the trigger when you're not intending to shoot. Idiot.
And he has strong feelings about the semi-automatic assault-style rifle, which is the precursor to a weapon currently used by the military, the M4.
The truth of the matter is, they look almost exactly the same.
So this is the M4 military rifle.
Right.
This is the AR-15.
Right. A lot of people will buy this just because it's cool and they want to appear like soldiers.
I don't know anyone who bought an AR-15 because it was cool and they wanted it to look like a soldier. That had to have been scripted in there. It had to have been. Because it's fitting that narrative, right?
If you're a gun collector or a gun aficionado.
See, his finger is below the trigger. It's not even on there. But he's the expert, so.
Like soldiers. If you're a gun collector or a gun aficionado and you want an AR-15, you can certainly buy one, and you should be able to buy one.
Oh, you just took the wind right out of his sails. Oh, but on the other hand, he said, if you're a gun collector aficionado, you should be able to get one. But otherwise, no. Right? Is that where we're going?
The problem is when it gets in the hands of the wrong people.
Originally built.
Yes, it's always a problem when things are in the hands of the wrong people. Like, that sword was in the hands of the wrong people. I don't see banning swords. Cars have been in the hands of the wrong people. Who's banning cars? It's not the gun. It's the person using whatever weapon it is to harm others. Because those same weapons can be used as self-defense.
Built for the battlefield, a defining characteristic of the AR-15 is the speed and power of the bullet.
Now those are single shots. If I wanted to fire this on full semi-automatic, all I do is keep firing. Now I won't probably hit the target when I do this.
This guy is definitely getting paid full semi-automatic. Wow.
When we look at the target later on, but I'm going to fire about 5 shots.
Okay.
It's a weapon designed to inflict maximum damage.
Did you see that he pressed the trigger every time? So the way he showed this, that was just a single bullet, which he pressed the trigger, right? Let me go back to, here we go. Now here's him when it's not on semi-automatic.
It gets in the hands of the wrong people.
Originally built for the battlefield, a defining characteristic of the AR-15.
Okay, now he's
fire about 5 shots.
Okay.
It's a weapon designed to inflict maximum damage.
He still pulled the trigger on every one of those shots. You can see it.
I've seen soldiers who have been hit by this weapon.
And it shot about the same speed, right?
Weapon, where it will literally tear out the inside of the body. I saw one soldier who was hit in a fratricide incident in the shoulder, and the round came out his ass.
The general shares the prevailing opinion of this type of gun shop where.
Okay. So that means the enemy has these guns. Well, that means we should have them too, right? Or something more powerful, which is what the military has.
Visiting the shooting sports firearms range, that the Second Amendment is sacred. But there is
Finger
also
in the right
agreement
position.
This weapon is definitely not for every gun owner.
In my personal opinion, you have to receive a whole lot of training to use this weapon. And this weapon in the wrong hands can be more dangerous than most weapons because of its capability to do a lot of damage.
But you already put that gun that you're sitting next to in the wrong hands. This guy had no training, and you gave him the gun anyway.
In a short period of time and be irreversible.
Ugh. All right, well. Okay, that's good. Remember when we had a president who didn't need a cheat sheet to talk about gun control? I personally don't. Okay, so let me quit sharing my screen for a second. Okay, so where's my note here? All right, so what I'm going to start doing is at some point every day, the time's not going to be the same because my life is not the same every day. What I'm going to start doing is going through today's top stories, basically. And then I'll go over them in a video, and then what I'll do is pick a few to go over. So today's top stories. Georgia Lieutenant Governor threatened to pull support for Delta in response to severing ties with the National Rifle Association. After Delta and the other airline carriers, as well as some car rental agencies, announced they'd stop giving discounts and perks to NRA members, Georgia's Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, I love that name, Casey Cagle, announced that he'd block any tax legislation that would benefit the airlines unless it reversed its decision to sever ties with the NRA. In statement, sheriff's deputy, who didn't go into school, defends his actions. Sheriff's deputy Scott Peterson, that's with one T, by the way, disputed, one T for Scott, I should clarify that. Scott Peterson disputed the characterization that he was a coward, and with his lawyer calling the allegations that his performance failed to meet standards patently untrue. The statement apparently contradicted that of his sheriff, Scott, with two T's, Israel. There was apparently confusion over whether the shooter was inside or outside due to a 20-minute delay. Fox is reporting EMS teams were frustrated about being told to stay outside. Floridian legislatures raise age to get guns like AR-15. These legislatures, I'm just going to say this right now because this isn't one of the topics that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it right now, unprepared. These legislators have no idea that the majority of the crimes committed in their state are with handguns, not AR-15s. In fact, more people are killed in Florida by falling coconuts than they are by being hit by lightning. But you always hear about, ooh, don't go near the water when it's lightning. How about don't go under coconut trees? Never hear that. And I lived in Florida. No one ever told me that. Fun fact. The laws would raise the legal purchasing age of firearms to 21 from 18, implement a ban on bump stocks, increase school safety protocols, and give police and courts more powers to remove guns from citizens deemed dangerous. Now, Trump said it. Mental health. That's always been the back door on how they're going to do the big gun grab. And now they're all talking about it, including Trump. Not good. Supreme Court won't hear DACA. The decision has been pushed to an appeals court, leaving DACA in place until or if the Supreme Court takes it up. Fun fact about the Supreme Court, they get about 10,000 cases to hear on average every year. On average, they only hear 80 of them. They choose which cases they're going to hear. That's a problem, don't you think? Especially when, imagine all the money you spend and they choose, and you're not one of the 80 chosen. Well, you can spend that money again for the next year and the next and the next and the next. Doesn't mean that you'll be moved up. We've got a serious problem with the Supreme Court. Very serious problem. This follows a decision by the Trump administration to skip the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in California, which is liberal-leaning, and head directly to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court didn't rule on the merits of the issue, but on the legal protocol. Lawmakers in Missouri call on Governor Eric Greitens. I don't even know if I'm saying this. There's too many damn people to figure out how to say their names. I'm just going with Greitens. To resign. Governor Eric Greitens is under pressure to resign over accusations of photographing a mistress without consent, although he's resisting the pressure, calling it the result of a politically motivated attack, with the executive director of the state Republican Party calling it a political hit job. Federal chairman makes his first appearance in front of Congress. Federal Chairman Jerome Powell gave testimony for the first time this morning, telling Congress that the Fed would balance between avoiding an overheated economy and continuing growth with a sustained rate of 2% inflation. We're never, ever going to get out of this debt. This stems back to Nixon. Before that, this is so. What's been happening has been so bad, but people don't even realize what's been happening. I'll talk about that someday. Hint: Federal Reserve. Hint: Saudi Arabia. Okay. Teachers' strike in West Virginia enters fourth day. Teachers have been on strike in the state over concerns about a lack of substitute teachers and the lack of money for public servants, with the state trying to fill 700 vacant positions as of last spring. Do you know that we didn't have public servants before the Civil War? Public servants, civil servants? I find that interesting. The state now ranks 48th out of 50 states in the District of Columbia in teacher pay. Wow, so they're actually including the District of Columbia, D.C., in this with I just realized that. Because D.C. is not a state. So literally it's the state now ranks 48th out of 51, which includes the District of Columbia. But District of Columbia isn't a state. So they're even worse off than what this 48th out of 50 says. Good job. And was one of just 5 states to see average teacher pay go down in 2016. United Nations calling to address Yemen famine. Call out of Iran blocked by Russia. The UN Secretary General yesterday told a congregation of more than 1,000 delegates and representatives from 60 national and international humanitarian organizations meeting in Riyadh, I can't even speak today, Riyadh, that as needs increase more than ever, we must do more to help the vulnerable and ensure the protection of civilians. I love being called a civilian. That's me being sarcastic. Russia blocked a UN Secretary Council resolution which would have called out Iran for violating an arms embargo against Houthi rebels in Yemen. Russian announced ceasefire starts in eastern Ghouta suburb of Damascus during Syrian civil war. The region is now under the effects of a daily 5-hour ceasefire aimed at creating a humanitarian corridor, which would allow civilians to flee and aid to come in. Rebels, however, are reportedly firing mortars during those 5 hours. Oh, geez, they're not playing by the rules, which would violate the terms of the ceasefire and render it null and void, according to Russia. I completely agree with Russia on that one. Here's the rules we agreed to. All right. Oh, you violated it? Well, now it's null and void. Here I come. That's how it works. Bad Russia for, enforcing the rules of engagement. Former South Korea president faces 30 years and $127 million fine. Prosecutors are now entering the sentencing phase of a trial of ex-president Park Geun-hye over charges of bribery and abuse of power, and are pushing for charges which would push her into jail for 30 years, and with a fine of just over $127 million. A lawyer representing the former president tearfully pleaded for mercy before the Seoul Central District Court, saying Park tried her hardest in leading the country day and night. And today's top stories in the news: New York Times, UN links North Korea to Syria's chemical weapons, even though it's already come out that Assad did not use chemical weapons on his people. Washington Post, Trump stopped short of full endorsement of gun proposals. Yes, we'll be talking a bit about this. Drudge Report, Hollywood cleans up act. The Daily Caller, fake views. CNN might have skewed Trump's approval rating. Breitbart News, CNN's Tapper on Trump's claim he'd confront Florida shooter. He used deferments to avoid Vietnam. Slate, first Elmo, then Legos, suddenly acts. HuffPost, payouts for predators. BuzzFeed, just because I thought I'd include them. Comparing apples to oranges, an Ivy League food scientist has retracted yet another study, his sixth. Okay, so let's go on, and out of those, I picked a few topics that we will be going into. So let me get my screen share going again. Oh, come on. I know you want to work for me. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this. And the first one we're going to go over is this one from Fox News. Georgia's Lieutenant Governor blasts Delta for cutting ties with NRA, warns he will block legislation favoring the airline. First of all, we bailed the airlines out. Everything favors the airline now. They get the government subsidies, which is our tax dollars. So I'm actually kind of twisted on this one, and I'll give my reasons why as we go through this. All right, so Georgia's Lieutenant Governor warned Delta on Monday that he will block any tax legislation that would benefit the airlines unless it reverses its decision to sever ties with the National Rifle Association, warning that corporations cannot attack conservatives without consequences. Well, I'm so glad he went straight into the victim role on that one. Delta, the Atlanta-based airline, and state lawmakers have weighed reinstating this year a once lucrative fuel tax break that has since expired. But Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, who is a Republican gubernatorial candidate, blasted the airline's decision to end the relationship with the NRA in the wake of the Parkland, Florida high school shooting earlier this month and threatened to block the bill. I will kill any tax legislation that benefits Delta unless the company changes its position and fully reinstates its relationship with the NRA, said Cagle, who heads the Georgia State Senate. In his tweet Monday, corporations cannot attack conservatives and expect us not to fight back. Over the weekend, Delta released the statement cutting ties with the NRA. The airline said it would end the NRA's contract for discounted rates through our group travel program. We will be requesting that the NRA remove our information from their website, Delta tweeted Saturday. Delta's decision reflects the airline's neutral status in the current national debate over gun control amid recent school shootings. Nobody's neutral on this. Nobody. Out of respect for our customers and employees on both sides, Delta has taken this action to refrain from entering this debate and focus on its business. Delta continues to support the Second Amendment. Now, I'm not going to read, well, I could. I'll go ahead and read the rest of this. I was not going to, but, and then I'll go into the conversation, my thoughts on this, actually. Delta added that it once withdrew a sponsorship from the theater company that staged a rendition of Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, which portrayed Caesar as Donald Trump-like figure. Delta supports all of its customers, but will not support organizations on any side of any highly charged political issue that divides our nation, Delta said. But Cagle's warning to Delta reflects a stance some state lawmakers are taking in the aftermath of Delta's decision. If Delta is so flush that they don't need NRA members' hard-earned travel dollars, it can certainly do without the $40 million tax break they are asking Georgia taxpayers for. Former State Senator Rick Jeffries, a candidate for lieutenant governor who voted in favor of the tax break during his time in the Senate, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This year's $50 million tax break, according to the AJC, was pitched as an airline tax break rather than one that would only benefit Delta. United Airlines also notified the NRA that they would no longer offer a discounted rate for NRA's annual meeting. Okay, so here's my thoughts on this. If the government can go in at any point and tell corporations that has been bailed out or gets subsidies of some form or another from the government, state or federal, if they can go tell these companies on positions they can take politically, that's a problem. Because then whoever is in power, these companies will be going back and forth, right? The right's in power, they all got to support the right. The left's in power, they all got to support the left then. And the fact that nobody is really bringing up what Delta did with Julius Caesar tells you people have very short memories, or they're trying to skew their own narrative. Now, if Delta, let's say, The airlines were never bailed out. None of them get subsidies. Or say some of them do and Delta doesn't. And they did this. I wonder what position Casey Cagle would take to smack their hands for bad behavior. Bad behavior in his opinion, by the way. Not bad behavior legally. So with that story actually brings me into this one. Now, when this happened and Trump came out saying, we got to really look at this mental health issue, blah, 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 I said, there's that back door. There's that back door that will pretty much guarantee the gun grab happening. And it's already beginning. We've been warning about this, and when I say we, many of us have been warning about this for 2 decades. Some even longer. Rhode Island executive order encourages taking guns from red flag individuals. Now, first of all, executive orders cannot and do not make law. It's an order on how to execute the laws. So unless the laws are already in the books in Rhode Island that they can take your guns if at any point in time you're red flagged for mental illness, domestic abuse, self-harm, anything like that. Unless those laws are already on the books, this can't happen. So guess what I'm guessing? The laws are already on the books. People just didn't know. I guarantee they're probably on the books in your state as well. I know West Virginia, you get convicted of domestic abuse, you lose your guns. And in some cases, if you're just arrested. But this whole mental health thing, think about it. We're relying on an entire group of people, psychologists, who by their own rules have to have psychological help. Their own rules state that they have to go see a psychiatrist too. So you go and seek help from someone who's going to see a psychologist, who's going to see a psychologist, who is also going to see a psychologist, who is also seeing a psychologist. Does that make any sense? And now we're going to put our right to keep and bear arms in these people's hands? Not only did they set up an entire system where they're secured. They're secured. Everyone has to see a psychiatrist, psychologist, either way. They all have to see one themselves. If you want to be one, you got to go see one. They guaranteed their own industry. So, now I haven't read this all the way through. I didn't want to. I like to actually get stories and give my thoughts as I'm going through them, so that's what we're doing. Rhode Island established a red flag policy. A new red flag policy. So they already have red flag policies? Good question, right? Rhode Island established a new red flag policy on guns with an executive order that will help keep guns away from people who could pose significant threats to public safety. They're going to take your guns under the General Welfare Clause, by the way. The executive order I signed today is an immediate step we can take to make residents safer. It sets the table for a complementary legislative effort. Governor Gina Raimondo, a Democrat, said in a statement Monday, "We cannot wait a minute longer for Washington to take action to prevent gun violence." 5 states, Connecticut, California, Washington, Oregon, and Indiana. You know where Indiana's located, right? It's not on a coast. Have taken similar action to potential red flags in recent years, but Rhode Island is the first to do so since the deadly school shooting in Parkland, Florida earlier this month. The policy does not give law enforcement new authority to confiscate guns, but it directs them to use all available legal steps to remove firearms from people who have shown warning signs, including recently making threats of violence online or in person, according to the statement. What did I tell you? People keep saying, "Oh, look at they're making laws, executive order, president made law." No, the law's already there. And they just told you the laws have already been there. So they already have these laws, and this stuff's still happening. The order also launches a campaign to educate the public about signs that could indicate if a person poses a threat. Wow, Eric Holder, he had a program when he was Attorney General. And I'm not kidding, he said the word to brainwash people about guns. And wanted a program implemented in every single school. And that program, that anti-gun program, was to be implemented not on Mondays, not on Fridays, but every single school day. I actually have that clip. I actually have that clip on my computer. Let me grab that. Let me grab that for you. If my thing will open. Come on, open. There we go. Whoops. Let's see. Video. And come on. You can open. I'm waiting for my window to open. Sorry. It's on my external hard drive, so it takes a second. But I do have that clip. Open. And where's my... It's in my... I have this clip because I'm working on a project. Did I go too far? Did I go in the wrong folder? I think I went in the wrong folder. Let's try this one. B, C, D, E, F, G. Where is my... Where is my folder? Did I put it in here? Current... No, I can't find it. Dang it. Let's see. Dot. Maybe I put it in this one. Nope. see. Let's see, I gotta find it somewhere here. I know I have it. I know how I can find it. Okay, hang on. Sorry about that, folks. I didn't realize I was going to need it. Let's see. Let's see. I know I've got it here. Come on, open up. So, yeah, these laws are already on the books. Because executive orders do not create law. Oh, I did have it. I just didn't see it there. Okay, so it's, all right. Yeah, executive orders, all they are, it's an order on how to execute the law, because that's what the executive branch does. The governor of your state is in the executive branch. The president is in the executive branch. I'm going to have to open this. Open with. Come on. I'm going to have you watch this. And I hope it doesn't auto start because I don't want it to auto start. Anyway. Okay. So the order also launches the campaign to educate the public about signs that could indicate if a person poses a threat. So now, hey, where's the due process? They can't violate your rights. They cannot take your life, limb, property, put you in jail. They can't do that without due process of law. It's unconstitutional. Most of what those in government do is unconstitutional. How do they get away with it? Well, it's because the majority of the people have no idea what the Constitution says. As I always say, if you don't know your rights, you'll never know when they are being violated. All right, let's see if I can get you to see that window. Why won't it let me show you that? That's not cool. Oh, there it is. I went right by it. Okay. And it took me forever to find this. C-SPAN is changing how to find, because I used to be able to find things so easily. I actually typed in Eric Holder, and this didn't even come up. I had to go back in time and try and remember what year it was that I remembered him saying this, what the event was. I finally found it, though. So here we go.
We also want to have, as part of the gun initiative, though, an informational campaign to really change the hearts and minds of people in Washington, D.C., and in particular our young people. They are saturated in the media and in entertainment, or by the entertainment industry, with violence.
Why isn't this showing
and I think too many of our young people, in particular our young men, are fascinated with violence and in particular fascinated with guns. And what we need to do is
people are fascinated with guns, and this is what we need to do.
Change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people, and make it something that's not cool, that it's not acceptable, it's not hip to carry a gun anymore. In the way in which we've changed our attitudes about cigarettes. You know, when I was growing up, people smoked all the time. I mean, both my parents did. But over time, we changed the way in which people thought about smoking, and so now we have people who cower outside of buildings and kind of smoke in private and don't want to admit it. And that's what I think we need to do with guns. Really change the way in which people think about guns. Now,
Change the way people think about guns. Notice he didn't say anything about change the way criminals think about guns.
this is not going to be something that's very easy to do because we are, quite frankly, fighting something that appears, every day on television, on the radio, in our popular music, in movies that these kids are exposed to. It will be an effort that will entail things that I'm really not familiar with. I think I'm a pretty good lawyer, but we need to get really innovative, creative things that are going to grab the attention of these kids and change, as I said, the way in which they think about guns. And so,
I'm sorry, this isn't when he was Attorney General. He did Fast and Furious when he was Attorney General. This is when he's United States Attorney. Do you know who appointed him? I want you to think for a second. Who do you think appointed him? I'll give you a hint. The date of this, where he was speaking, is January 30th, 1995. And if you say Clinton, you're wrong because he was already in the government before Clinton. He was in the government. Oh, so now you're going to say Bush, right? No. He was in the government even before Bush Daddy was president. I'll let you ponder that one for a minute. But this is the same guy now talking about guns who did Fast and Furious. You know, that great gun giveaway to the cartel, the Mexican cartels? Uh-huh. We're fighting something, he says. Yeah, it's called the Second Amendment. It's called the supreme law of the land. That's what you're fighting.
what I've asked is that the creative community in Washington, those ad agencies that are going to grab the attention of these kids and change, as I said, the way in which they think about guns. And so what I've asked is that the creative community in Washington, those ad agencies that create these snappy ads and make me buy things that I don't really need.
And people are complaining that Obama put the propaganda legislation into the NDAA. Well, actually, it was the legislation that did that. He just signed it into law. We've had propaganda bills in our government for a very, very long time. In fact, World War II, the government hired Disney to put out propaganda cartoons. And he's talking about doing this right there at the Women's National Democratic Club. The creative folks, we got to get that propaganda out there.
Devote that talent in a more constructive way so we can get at the minds of these young people.
Get at the minds.
This informational campaign, I've also called on the newspapers and the television stations to devote.
Oh, is that a surprise to you? That he called on the media?
This informational campaign, I've also called on the newspapers and the television stations to devote to us time and space so that we can get these ads, so we can use these spots, and not to give us 1, 2 o'clock in the morning ads when nobody's watching, but at a time when people, particularly young people, are watching television, so that when they're watching, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin or whatever else they watch, and yeah, I watch those things once in a while, so that they'll see these ads and they'll be grabbed by these ads.
This is 1995. This is 2018. I've been speaking out about this for over 23 years now. Just realized it. And I'm not the only one. But hey, folks want to have their blood sport instead. They're going to wake up one day and realize they completely missed the mark.
I've also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well, but not.
And what were the athletes doing this past year? What were the entertainers doing for the past 2 years?
Not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor.
Jesse Jackson, what a prize that man is, isn't he?
Program as well, but not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also.
If you see something, say something. Remember that when Janet Reno came out with that? Her and Walmart teamed up together. If you see something, say something. I wonder how many of you remember that.
Also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-war, to make a part of that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message.
Every day, the school board. Got to get the minds. So we're going to get the entertainers, the athletes, the media, the news, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We're going to have ads on during this time of those shows. Here's your propaganda for 1995.
Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Would you like a repeat on that? Let's repeat it.
As well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Oh, this just angers me so much. It really does. Ah, my blood is boiling. Blood is boiling. I'm sorry it took so long for me to find it. I was just working on it the other day. So, there you go. Now there's more to the story. Governor Phil Murphy. Today I'm honored to join Governor Cuomo, Governor Malloy, and Governor Raimondo in creating states for gun safety. A multi-state coalition to take action against gun violences and make our communities, our entire region safe. We welcome and encourage other governors to join us. Oop, I forgot to screen share. Sorry about that, kiddos. Okay. Until Congress and the President produce action on gun violence, guns don't do violence. It's the people operating the gun, the car, the knife, the pencil, the sword, the pen that they put to the paper to create law. That's violence. We must do our best to keep our state safe. You want to keep your state safe? Go back to the Second Amendment, where it says the militia, which is necessary to a free state. Guess you're not free states, are you, anymore? Okay, gotta take a breath. That Eric Holder, that man has ticked me off for over 2 decades now. Nothing ever happens to them. Nothing ever happens to anyone. But you and me, we peons, we gotta follow them laws. Now we're at Fox. 5 Republican and Democratic governors on what states can do on gun control. Nevada, Governor Brian Sandoval. This event in Las Vegas has changed everything for me. Yeah, that event in Las Vegas, the thing nobody's ever talking about. His little girlfriend was Filipino. There's a strong Muslim community in the Philippines. Their terrorist group is called Maute, M-A-U-T-E. Look it up. They're ravaging that country. And within hours of the Las Vegas shooting, the Mandalay Bay, within hours, ISIS, which is a branch of, Maute is a branch of ISIS, by the way. ISIS took credit for it. Nobody's talking about it. Oh, and by the way, on my other channel, I quickly grabbed over 6 hours of the police scanner. I have 2 videos up. And I took the time to sit there and put in words. I love what I did with it. On the second video, they confirmed a second shooting scene. And it wasn't Mandalay Bay. Okay, so the subject of gun control was inescapable at this weekend's National Governors Association meeting in Washington, D.C. Yeah, you guys might want to look into the National Governors Association as well. Yeah, those guys. Board of Governors. Oh, that's even better. That's how we all ended up getting Common Core in our schools. Governors don't create laws. They set up that whole deal. Lots of legislators were like, we have to pay for what? What is this? Sorry, side rant. And unlike the lack of gun reform action in a slow-moving U.S. Congress, America's governors in both parties were talking about taking swift action in their individual states to try to keep guns out of the hands of violent or mentally ill people. It's not hard to call someone mentally ill. Violent? There's going to be evidence of that violence. Mentally ill? That could fall right into the wrong think type of scenario, don't you think? Don't you suppose? Of the Republican governors talking about the issue of gun control at the NGA conference, there was a noticeable willingness to go beyond vague promises and talk solutions. A number of Republican governors talked about raising the age limit to buy semi-automatic weapons, ban bump stocks, and in some cases, even confiscating the weapons of people who were a clear danger to themselves or the community. This event in Las Vegas has changed everything for me, said Governor Brian Sandoval, Republican, Nevada. Sandoval is governor of the state and saw America's worst mass shooting to date, with 58 people dead and another 851 injured when a gunman, I have a nephew who was there. When a gunman rapidly fired on a crowd of concertgoers at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival on the Las Vegas Strip in October. Having met with the families, having met with the victims, having seen myself what had happened there, it's affected me deeply. I'm sure it would. The vice president yesterday said, "We're going to have a conversation on Monday with regard to firearms. I think it's long past due, and it's one that I'm going to engage in personally." Yeah, great, VP. Screw that Second Amendment, huh? Another Republican, Governor Phil Scott of Vermont, was moved to make changes after finding out about a recently averted mass shooting in his home state. Even with its liberal reputation, Vermont has lax gun laws, which Scott and state Democrats are now proposing to tighten. Ain't gonna be so free anymore, are you, Vermont? I want to make it virtually impossible for anyone who has mental issues. Would that be even autistics? I wonder. Yeah, mental issues. That's pretty damn vague, don't you think? I want to make it virtually impossible for anyone who has mental issues to use a gun, Scott, who previously had a strong NRA rating, told reporters. I want to make it virtually impossible for anyone who is a danger to themselves or to others to use a gun. Those people who are a danger to themselves or to others don't need a gun. They'll find another way. Knives, guns, cars, homemade bombs made in rice cookers. You name it. It ain't the gun. That's the problem. I thought I have to do whatever I can to protect Vermont. I have a huge responsibility in terms of creating a safe environment, Scott told Vox. Maybe you should look into those refugees that you've been taken in. And I have asked myself, am I doing that? Meanwhile, Democratic governors at this weekend's convention were incensed at the lack of action on the federal level. The Second Amendment prohibits the federal government from infringing upon our right to keep and bear arms. Period. And since the states entered into that contract, that's what the states demanded of the federal government. Now they want the federal government to take care of everything. 4 governors from Northeast states, including Governor Gina Raimondo, Democrat Rhode Island, Dan Malloy, Democrat Connecticut, Andrew Cuomo, Democrat New York, and Phil Murray, Democrat New Jersey, recently announced a new regional collaboration to track the guns coming across each other's state lines and direct universities to study the problem of gun violence. Oh, good. Another study that we get to pay for. We decided we're not going to wait for the federal government to act, Raimondo told Vox. We said if we came together as a regional coalition, we could move the needle in our region. But Raimondo and other governors said that while their states can pass individual legislation, there also must be swift federal action, including a universal background check program. We have one that covers all 50 states. We have one. Everything that happened with the Parkland shooting, everything, everybody who needed to know legally were informed about that guy. every single step of the Florida shooting, the Parkland, Florida shooting. I don't want to get Pulse confused into this. Pulse nightclub by the Muslim. But every single step was taken and ignored. That means the system that's in place, the background check that's universal, everything that is already there failed. So do we think more of this is going to work? And I find it odd that for some reason the FBI is almost always involved in this, whether it's terrorist attacks or these mass shootings. I find it odd. Or the CIA. I talked to 5 governors from both parties this weekend on the events that motivated them on gun reform and what their states are doing on the issue. The following conversation have been lightly edited for length at clarity. Yeah, I'm not going to read this. I have the links in the description. Yeah, this is a long one. I'm not going to go through all of this. Oh, Tom Wolfe. That man makes me want to puke. I'm not sure why any human being would need to have an assault weapon. Well, Governor Wolfe, I remember some PA legislatures who were coming out of their Capitol building, and someone tried to actually rob them, and they pulled out their assault weapon. I don't even know what the assault weapon is. Are they talking about only AR-15s now? But these guys, the legislatures, they had their handguns. They had a concealed carry with them, and they were able to stop the robbery. Isn't that amazing? An assault weapon. Call it what it is. Arms. Stop saying firearms. Stop saying assault weapon. I could take this laptop, whack it over someone's head. Is it now an assault pewter? Idiots. All right, so that's that, and let's see. Oh, I wanted to cover this. Show you guys this one because I thought this was pretty good. I did fast forward it just a little bit. This guy, Ryan is driving. He's a Uber guy. And I found this story funny, but I feel bad for him in the insanity that Uber, Lyft drivers, cab drivers, limousine drivers in Vegas. Oh my God, the stories they could tell you. Yeah, I wanted to show the story. So it's humorous, yet not humorous at the same time. Does that make sense? Maybe it will. Here we go.
So for a little setup here, I had been waiting for this woman for a few minutes now, and I wasn't in the best mood to begin with. You can tell that right away. It usually isn't super cool when you're waiting a few minutes to pick someone up. So I was a bit short with this woman compared to my usual cheery self.
Hello?
Hey. Yeah, it's me.
Hey, is this you?
Yeah.
Los Angeles too?
Yep. How you doing?
How are you?
Good.
So everything's going pretty normally until this woman decides to try to pull a fast one on me.
You just canceled your ride?
No.
It says you just canceled.
You gonna look at me?
Yeah.
Why'd you cancel your ride?
I don't know.
That's not cool at all. You need to get out of my car.
Really?
Yeah. You gotta admit, this woman has an impressive lack of self-awareness. She literally admitted to canceling the ride, which in turn screws me out of the fare for that trip. And then she proceeds to be offended after I kick her out of my car. It's amazing, really.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You canceled the ride. That's shady as fuck.
No, I just knew that Uber did 2 rides now. So I was just trying to do Wendy's and then my house.
That's not how it works.
Doesn't do 2 rides now?
No, you need to get out of my car, please.
Okay, that's fine. Cool. Just rate you 1 star.
That's fine. I got you on camera doing that, so I don't mind at all.
Yeah, dude, I wasn't doing anything wrong.
You canceled in the middle of a ride. You knew what you were doing.
No, I wasn't. It's just like I knew that. Just like Lyft does 2 stops. I knew that.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do.
All right. I'll catch
Uber
you later.
recently just started doing 2 stops, just like
You can
Lyft.
do as many stops as you want. You don't have to cancel it to make that happen.
I didn't know that because I just knew that Uber recently started doing 2 stops.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is I'm gonna rate you 0 stars, dude. Bye. I have 4.96 stars.
Have a good night. I can do the same thing to
You
you.
fucking bitch.
So this is where shit starts to pop off, and I'll just kind of let this play out. Hope you don't look at me different after this. Enjoy.
Bitch.
Fuck
You
you.
a fucking dick.
I got you on
You a
camera.
fucking
You know
mother
that?
bitch. You a
I know what you were
bitch.
trying to do. You
You
were
a
trying to be
bitch.
fucking shady. You're a fucking
I'm not trying
Yeah.
to be shady.
yeah.
dude.
You were trying to be fucking
No,
shady. If
I'm
you're
not trying to be
that
shady.
fucking low for fucking $10, you're a piece
Nah.
of shit. You know that?
You're a
$10
piece of
fucking
shit.
dollars. Shut my door and get the fuck out of here.
I'm a fucking recording.
Shut my fucking door and get the fuck out of
You're a
here.
piece of shit, bitch.
And like, are you fucking serious? Are you really trying to fucking hit me right now?
Yeah, you a fucking piece of shit. Fucking call the cops on me, bitch. You a fucking piece of shit.
Do you see this? Are you fucking kidding me? Where the fuck are you? Are you serious right now?
You a fucking piece of shit, bitch.
You really think it's cool to fucking attack someone?
You a fucking piece of shit, bitch.
You know what? What are you doing? All right. Whatever, lady. I hope you at least found that entertaining, if not anything else. This job has a lot of good things going for it. I mainly do it for the creative outlet it offers me. But not a lot of people know that it's actually one of the most dangerous jobs in America. And as some of you know, I've already had a gun pulled on me. I've had numerous confrontations. If it's any consolation, this woman, I believe, has been reprimanded. I did send this to Uber. They're kind of vague on what they do, but I'm guessing that this is kind of against the terms of service. I think the silver lining in this is that even though I had a pretty shitty experience with this woman and she attacked me, I can kind of make something creative out of it. I don't think there's anything more American than this. Literally taking a bad experience and turning it into advertising revenue. I really just want this video to blow up so I can make money, like, in spite of this lady.
Which I'm pretty sure he has. He published this February 22nd, 2018, just 5 days ago, and he's already got 3,195,967 views. Kudos to you, kid. And with that, I think I'm going to just take out of here. I want to give a few shout outs to Kieran Halcyon and Vincent Vader for showing up, and anyone else who came along. And you guys have a great evening. And if I get bored, I may end up streaming again. Who knows? Have a great one. Love ya. Bye.